Hi students, this is a quick update on the final project, or Project 2. It is very important that you have clear expectations as to what is required in order to receive an A for this class. Because of our online learners and meeting only once a week, you will get these updates approximately once every 2 weeks. So, why is this project so important? Mainly because of the SLOs, which stands for Student Learning Outcomes. As you can see, the student learning outcomes, if you read these, are composed of various different elements that we accomplish throughout the course. Thus, in order for our assessment teams to say that this course is actually viable, it is imperative that we design the course in such a way as to fulfill these student learning outcomes. In addition, if you want to get an A in this class, it's pretty important that you actually do a great job on Project 2. Secondly, the methodology that you are going to employ in this class, and specifically on Project 2, is what we call the project management approach. Now, what exactly is that? This is actually how we undertake projects in a collaborative endeavor. So the first thing we actually need is the PM, or project manager. Well, who's that? That's actually the leader. That's the person who is primarily responsible for the success of the project and actually accomplishing the project's objectives. The second category of person that we need in this project would be the content expert or the researchers. So these people gather all the research that is necessary to accomplish the Project 2 endeavor. And the third person would be the designer. That person picks out the best content or the best research, working hand in hand with the researcher, and sort of lays out that important material that will either end up in the report, the final report, or the PowerPoint. And then lastly, we have the programmer. The programmer is ultimately tasked with either taking the particular information that was laid out by the designer and putting it into a PowerPoint, or perhaps writing the final report. That doesn't mean that everyone can't participate and write certain sections of the report, but the programmer must massage those particular writing areas that students are writing about, so that it is consistent and put in a formal, succinct writing style, which is more technical in nature. And of course, the project manager can also help out with that task. Project manager can also help out with many of these tasks and get together with not only the researcher, but the designer and programmer. And of course, everybody is beta testing. Everybody will look at the PowerPoint. They will go over everything with a fine-tooth comb to make sure there's no grammatical or technical mistakes. Same thing with the report. Okay, another thing, of course, I just said, one of the reasons, primary reasons that that this project is so important is, you want to do very well on it. And that is, in order to get an A in this class, you have to fulfill various elements of the Project 2 report. And in order to do that, I created a rubric. So let's take a look at this. So the rubric, and you want to be over here in this outstanding area, which you're given 4 points for each of these things. You want to undertake the project in a collaborative endeavor versus a cooperative endeavor. So one of the things you're going to have written into the report is a way that you collaborated. So the project managers should set up a Google Drive, take everyone's email down, perhaps phone numbers, plan Zoom meetings with people in the project to help accomplish the various elements that you're tasked with. Another way to get the highest mark in outstanding for this rubric is to make sure that you have a good mission statement, vision, strategy. The goals are SMART goals. We go all over this in detail during the class, and it's also in your book. However, it's important that this is addressed in your report. Another area would be to use at least 3 platforms. And one of the platforms that we're going to be working with is LinkedIn. So everyone's going to have a LinkedIn profile. And another one might be probably YouTube. All these projects are going to have a YouTube video that you guys will make up. And so that's number 2 platform. And then if you want to use Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or any of those will definitely be an added plus, but you have to have at least 3 platforms. And again, this is it has to be written into your report. And of course, we have to have clear and concise description on how the plans were implemented, schedules of work, a nice little timeline as to maybe who's doing what and when, some documentation there that could be maybe put into the appendix of the report. The report should be about 3 to 4 pages, single-spaced, and maybe contain some charts and graphs. Those can be also put in an appendix. And of course, finally, the report has to be well-structured, clear and concise writing, technical writing preferably. Adhere probably to APA, even though APA specifies double spacing. No, I want it single spaced, but you should have appropriate references. And if you want to use citations in there, that would be definitely an added plus. So how else do you actually get an A on this project? Let's take a look at chapter 15. Yes, I know we're going to the last chapter of the book, but it's a good read and it's a required read for you, and I would probably read it now because then you'll be able to see perhaps what your report should look like, your group report. So let's look at the table of contents that was actually specified by this XYZ Coffee Company. And what they have in there is a nice title page, a little summary, an overview. They've listened to what's going on. This is chapter 2. We go over listening, taking the heartbeat of social media. Remember, we're not out here to create the wheel. You find a good wheel that's out there that maybe meets your idea that you come up with, and then you would probably try to make it better. This thing here, competitive market analysis, that is not applicable for this project. Unless you want to put it in there, you can, but there are no bonus points for that because a lot of the projects we have are sort of non-profit. So we really don't require a competitive or SWOT analysis for that. You do have to have goals. You have to have a section for your SMART goals, and we'll go over what those are. The strategies would be your mission and vision using the 8 C's of content marketing. That's another thing that we go over in the class. We go over chapter 3 is all to do about target marketing and developing personas. You know, these things are all elements that are going to be put in your project 2 report that will give you an A for the project and an A for this class. You're going to be monitoring and controlling project or the social media marketing project. So how are you doing that? There are some nice elements concerning tracking and maybe measuring. You might not be able to use all these metrics that they have, which are key performance index. A lot of these things relate to financial data, but again, we're not really concerned with that. Therefore, they're not applicable. As long as you cover the rubric, okay, the rubric that we went over, you're going to be fine. And then we get into like evaluating social media monitoring tools. Some of these will be applicable again and some won't. So in essence, that's all that we have for the update. If you have questions, please email me. For the online people, rest assured you will be put in a group, either this week or by the latest next week. I put a discussion forum up on Moodle, and the forum is up there so that you can think of perhaps social media marketing endeavors that you would like to use as your project. There are some prior projects that were done. So I would, hope that you open up the document on prior projects to see what was done there. And then in the discussion board, maybe come up with your own idea. And then by the end of next week, in the beginning of the fourth week, we will be choosing groups. Groups will have, I would say, 3 to 4 people in a group to undertake the project that you want to take up for this class. And I already started the discussion, so just make sure that you participate and put something up there that you would like to do. I know that we have a lot of athletes in the class, and sometimes the athletes in the past have actually raised money. Okay, thank you and have a great evening and a great Labor Day too.